Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Sonja Franz. I'm the marketing manager at Internet, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming you here and to be your host for this evening or morning or, well, night hours. As you may know, this meetup, it's the second Hyvä Meetup, and our focus today is showcases. So I'm a pun promoter, so I thought that the title of It's Time to Show Off would actually be quite fitting. Hyvä Themes was officially released in February this year. So now, 9 months later, it's time to actually show what we've got and what our community has worked on for the merchants. So there are, if you are already involved with Hyvä and in the Hyvä Slack, you might have seen there's plenty of people posting their stories, their projects there already. So there's enough projects now in the wild to pick some for today and to have them presented for you. And yeah, so you and I here at this meetup, and unfortunately, maybe we have to do this in an online version, but then again, that might not be ideal for communication with others, but it's actually a great way for us to bring the whole community together. We do have an audience from really across the globe this time. Shout out to Lucas and his coffee supply. This should be a meeting place for you. So whatever you're interested in around Hyvä, this should be your place to connect with others, to discuss it, and to get some answers to your questions. The title of today's meetup might sound a bit arrogant, showing off. Not everyone is eager to do that. But I'm pretty sure that our speakers are really smart people who are very willing to share what they've learned around Hyvä and to share their experiences with projects. So I hope that you all get some insights into how these projects are run and what you might want to look out for when you do your own Hyvä project. Each of these presentations later on are rather short, and we have time planned for Q&A. So I invite you all to make use of that, to connect with the speakers, to reach out in the chat via the Q&A feature later on in the open discussions via video chat, to really have some direct exchange. Because here, this should be a meeting place. Yes, it's a meetup. But more importantly, a way for us to share our knowledge and to help this community of Hyvä enthusiasts to grow and be successful. As you know, this looks like a one-person show, but it's not. So invisibly behind me is the team at Internet who helped bring this together, who helped me keep my head in the right place tonight, sending out email reminders way too early. Ina, Andrea, and Andreas are busy around this as well, making sure that everything goes smoothly. And they are here to make sure that you can enjoy the show. Apropos show, there is our speakers. And we have 4 sessions today for showcases presented by Anastasiia from Space 48, Danny Verkade and Edwin from Creme, Ian Rushton from Develo Design, and Ina van der Biesen from Internet. And as mentioned, yes, we have a Q&A plan for all of these as well. So when you see their sessions and anything pops up in your mind that you would like to get some more details on or questions you have, check out the Q&A tab on the right-hand side of your Hopin window and put in your questions there. Okay, this is the schedule for today. we have some busy evening or morning or whatever time it is for you ahead of us. We are now in the opening, and later on we move over to the showcases of Ian, Danny and Edwin from Creme. Then it's Anastasiia, and Ina does the last one in that row. And we have an official ending so that then you can say bye if you want to, or you can hang out with us afterwards. Very much invited to do so. You might have noticed that we originally had another session planned by Bast from Red TV, but unfortunately he had to cancel his presentation for today. And now we hope that we have better luck next time at the next Hyvä Meetup, yeah, that he can recover today, and we'll see him back soon. All right. This Hyvä Meetup is brought to you by Intergenet, or the team at Intergenet. And as the main partner and co-creator of Hyvä, we proudly sponsor this event in a way. But we also want to make sure that we give a shout out to all of you who helped us promote this meetup, and especially to all the speakers who put in the time to prepare for today, to help us put on a good show for you. And you are currently in this main session in our event platform, Hopin. If you don't know Hopin by now, it's quite popular among the Magento events. It has some pretty helpful features. The easiest way for you to enjoy this meetup is to just stay in this main session until we have officially closed it. And here you'll see all of the showcases. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the chat. Please note we have kind of two different chats. So there's the event chat that is seen from everyone wherever they are. And then there's the session-specific chat. So for the main session, there is an ongoing chat throughout the evening. And if we later go to the Hangout corner, then there's a different chat. And you will also see that on the right, you have the kind of tabs. So you not just have the chat, but we also have a poll planned for you later on. And there is the Q&A tab. You can wander around, hop in however you like. Please note that you'll find us in the sessions. This main session is moderated. So later on, when the speakers come up to the stage, they can click on share video audio, and then I will allow them to join me. Later on in the Hangout corner, that's different. There is no moderation. So anyone who wants to share and join in the conversation can just activate video audio, and then we'll be part of this. Questions, please. You can only get answers if you ask questions. So make sure that you use the Q&A tab and put in the questions there. You should be able to upvote other people's questions as well. Unfortunately, we had some difficulties with that yesterday. Might be some tech issues on Hopin side. But upvoting might be really cool to see if there is a specific interest in one question that we absolutely have make sure to get answers to. You can also ask anonymously if that's what you like. Yeah, and I encourage you to use that. It's a lot nicer to have a meetup with direct exchange between the audience and the speakers. Direct exchange, yeah, that's the keyword. You can meet others, not just here in the chat and later in the group video chat, but we also have this networking tab in Hopin, where you have randomly assigned video call partners, so kind of like chat roulette. And those are limited to 3 minutes. Unless both of you want to extend your call, then it would be extended, and you can chat in some more. with the 3 minutes is more like a short getting to know each other. Okay, and this one is available throughout the evening. So whenever you feel like you need to spice things up, go check out the networking tab. Some questions. Will there be a Q&A? So we do have Q&A planned for each of our speakers after their presentations. If there are any big questions around Hyvä, you can also put them in the Q&A. I know that we have Binay here already. And if we need to make sure that those get answers too. And Willem is here as well, so I'm sure we can get you answers. And then there might be the question, will the talks be recorded? Yes. And well, I haven't checked in with Willem again, but so far we have published them on the Hyvä Themes video YouTube channel. And of course, we only record this main session with the presentations. So the Hangout later on is not recorded. And there's an official end, probably around 8:40 p.m. Central European time. But you're invited to hang out with us later on. That might just be in a convenient way for you to get your sleep. Okay, and then, of course, we would like you very much to be decent human beings, respect the work of others, and just be nice. I know you can do that, even in online format, that's good. And with that, I would say it's 7:15 for me, and I would like to invite Ian to the stage. So Ian, if you're here, please make sure to click on the share video and audio button. I hope he's here. There he is.
Hello. Oh, you're right.
Oh, sorry, I squeezed my browser window into the wrong corner. I didn't really see the moderation panel. All right. Okay, I give you a few more seconds to set yourself up here. In the meantime, I'll end my screen sharing. And reminder to people, if you have any questions to Ian, please put them in the Q&A tab. Ideally, put his name in the beginning of the question so we can really make sure that we later assign the right questions to the right people. All right. Ian, good to see you. You are, as far as I know, the senior Magento developer at Develo Design in the UK. Where exactly are you? And that appears to me as if his video just stopped working. Yeah, freeze. Wasn't aware that it's that cold in the UK. Okay. He's just reported that there is some some tech issues going on. All right. Yeah, nothing like a bit of a tech issue to get you started and hyped for the evening. Okay, let's see. In the meantime, I might as well just activate the poll that we have planned for you. So if you switch from the session tab to event and then to polls, you will see that we have a poll set up asking you what our next Hyvä Meetup should focus on. We couldn't really bring Hopin to give us a an open question in the polls. So these are suggestions. If you have any more suggestions, put them in the chat, please. And yeah, as Lucas just suggested, coffee break. Okay. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this event now? Oh, there he is. Yep.
Sorry about that. This is a new Mac, and I haven't shared my screen before, so I had to give it permission. And as soon as I did, it crashed. So I'm going to have to do it again. Let's hope that this time it doesn't happen again.
Well, it's great to have you back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. You were quick to reload, and yeah. With then any further ado, I would just say, stage is yours, and people reminder here, put in the questions. All right.
Well, then let me try and share my screen. Bear with, it's still not there. Okay, hopefully that's visible now. Okay, yeah, we're in. Hi everyone, thanks for having me here. So I'm here to present a project that we've been working on in our agency recently. First things first, a little bit about me. So my name's Ian Rushton. I started working as a developer about 6 years ago for a company called Develo Design in Birmingham in the UK. We do a few different things, but I'd say the majority of our work is around Magento 2. And in my spare time, I play guitar and sing in a band. So the client, they're called Made with Love and Sparkle, and they make personalized gifts for people. We managed their Magento 1 site for around 5 years up until now. We didn't actually build the site. And they recently decided they wanted to migrate to Magento 2. So as soon as we spoke to them, we knew they wanted to move over. We obviously considered the different options available. A couple of different ones we considered. So Luma, obviously, good old Luma. And the plus side to that one is obviously the team's very familiar with building things in Luma and working with Luma. It's quite straightforward from that side of things. The downside, obviously, it's not the best developer experience. And in the past, the results have been a little bit slower and a bit more clunky. It's kind of as if you're battling against, it's kind of like the done thing, that it would end up a bit slower and a bit more annoying like that way. The other alternative would be like a PWA approach. So we've worked with Vue Storefront in the past. So obviously just connecting through to Magento via an API. The positives to that are that it's fast, you've got the offline capabilities, and obviously app-like kind of front-end behavior. The downside to that is obviously the tech stack's quite complex. If you see the diagram summing up how it has to all fit together, there's quite a lot to learn there. So the obvious choice, Hoover. So why did we go for Hoover? So realistically, we built another project. So not the team that worked on this, but within our agency, we'd worked on another project in Hoover a few months ago, and it went really well. The feedback was pretty great. Everything was very pleasant, and the site itself ended up being really good, really performant, and the client was really chuffed with it. So smiles all around there. So going into the project, there were some concerns from my end, I guess, which were that the majority of the team, or the entire team, sorry, working on this were new to Alpine. They were new to Tailwind, and we weren't entirely sure how easy it would be to kind of adopt the best practices of Hoover, whether there'd be like different approaches to doing things that we weren't aware of that we kind of have to adapt to moving from Luma, and just general uncertainty, like we weren't sure what we were in for until we started, I guess. Scary stuff, eh? Or so we thought. So with regards to learning Alpine, a lot of the team in the past had actually worked with Vue.js. So if anyone who's worked with Vue and Alpine kind of knows that the syntax is really similar, the kind of approach to things is really similar, and it was really intuitive. So we picked that up really easily. So that wasn't a problem. Learning Tailwind. So once we kind of set the main Tailwind config up, and that was up and running, we kind of built a style guide of the majority of the components that we knew were going to be reused throughout the site, got those looking right, and then it was we just flew through it there really. So it was all really intuitive. That the utility class approach to the front end was pretty straightforward. And in terms of the best practices, the documentation for Hoover is really good. So that solved majority of our problems. Anything a little bit more obscure, I guess, the Slack channel was really good. So everyone in there is really friendly, really willing to lend a hand with things, kind of give suggestions and whatnot. And obviously within the Hoover theme itself, there are plenty of examples of code. So every time we wanted to go about doing something, we could just kind of look at how it had been done for other similar things and kind of work it out from there a lot of the time as well. So that was pretty straightforward as well. Nothing to be scared of after all, turned out. So a quick summary of the things that went well with the project. Everyone in the team picked up the new technologies really easily, like I've sort of just mentioned. There were very few kind of hurdles. People didn't seem to sort of get stuck on things very much, more so front end, I guess. Tasks were quite quick to complete. And one of our fears as well, obviously, making templates compatible from third-party modules was also pretty straightforward. I've just got a little example of that for us. So the majority of our sites, we use a slider manager to allow our clients to kind of manage the content on sliders throughout pages and whatnot, and they kind of want to be able to update button text and titles and descriptions and images and whatnot. So obviously the front end templates of this, the module that we tend to use is this Welt Pixel Owl carousel slider in the past, which the admin side of it is really good. Front end side obviously does the job, but because we're kind of familiar with the admin side, we wanted to go ahead and use that. So obviously the front end for that is usually dependent on jQuery through require.js and now carousel and whatnot. We just had to switch the template out, and I've just how simple it was to do that really. So we're pulling in some data from the admin at the top there, just JSON encoding that, initializing the Alpine component here, and then that little snippet below is just sort of rendering each slide and whatnot. So that was a much quicker thing than we kind of suspected it could have been, I guess. So as we worked through the project, there are a couple of highlights that I kind of thought I'd bring up here just to sort of just talk about. So once we got the project set up for people and we're in a good position to sort of get cracking working on sort of specific tasks, I outlined what I thought would be a 2-week sprint. I was pretty sure I was accurate with that. And then about 5 days later, we'd actually finished that sprint, which was obviously really cool. Obviously the learning thing from there was front end changes were a lot quicker to implement. Obviously partly because they're easier, and possibly just because of the sort of enthusiasm of the developers, because it's so much sort of more enjoyable to kind of work with. Probably worth pointing out here that although we saved a lot of time on the front end, there was obviously some additional time for certain third-party modules, just kind of sorting out the front end of that and just getting it compatible. Personal highlight number 2. So as a developer, obviously, when I'm looking at Luma sites we've built in the past, or any kind of site we've built, I tend to kind of test it from a developer's point of view. So I'm checking a certain piece of functionality or checking that something looks right, different breakpoints, whatnot. And sort of this was the first time that I'd kind of noticeably enjoyed using the site. So with Luma, kind of, I don't know if I just kind of adapted to this, but whenever we had a Luma site that I was looking at, it was obviously a bit sort of, it felt sort of a bit clunky and whatnot, but I think I just kind of grew to accept that as the norm, I guess. And then when I kind of got it up on my mobile and was going to this site, it was just so easy to use. And it was just really cool, So it was fast, easy to use. The user interface was really kind of minimal and nice. And it was actually an enjoyable site to browse around. So that was pretty cool. One thing during the process, I guess, that didn't go so well, which I guess is worth mentioning here, is sort of dynamically generated classes, and any classes that were only present in the CMS. It only occurred to me kind of towards the latter part of the build. I guess this is a lack of experience with Tailwind. So towards the end of the build, we did like a production build of the styles, and the output kind of, because of these missing classes, kind of broke some of the styles. In order to kind of rectify this, we went down two different approaches. So one was to add certain ones to the Tailwind config safe list, so they wouldn't be they'd be excluded from the purge. But this was more for dynamic classes where there were potentially kind of like multiple outputs. So for example, like grid 2, grid 4, grid 8, where there was potentially different endpoints. We weren't entirely sure which ones would be sort of rendered based on the dynamic content. We'd add those in with a bit of regex just to kind of say, don't exclude these classes. The other one, which is a bit sort of feels a bit brutal, but we just added a template to our theme with just a div in it, and just any classes that we used in there that we found more so in the CMS. This was we just add those to the div. Tailwind would pick them up and add them in its output. So that was pretty cool. Most of the time, these ended up being sort of breakpoint specific. So like the SN column, well, for example. Right, demo time. So let me see if I can work out how to share a different tab. Oh, let's have a look here. So I thought I'd give you a quick run through of the site, how it's looking at the moment. So this is just the staging site at the moment. So as you can see here, we've got this is pulled through for the slider manager here. We've got some example categories here. Actually, that's actually shown. Oh yeah, you can see that. So we've got some example categories through here. We've got this slider here for recommended products, which is pulling through via dynamic yield. Some product cards here, blah, blah, blah. Now in the bottom corner here, this is quite cool. So we've got this exclusive gift pop-up where users can kind of apply a discount. So the admins can assign a specific cart rule to this, and it'll pull through the code, it'll pull through a bit of text. If you've got an active quote during this time, you can click and apply and it'll be added directly to your cart. If you don't have a quote at that point, you can click apply and it comes up here saying this will be applied to your order during checkout. So that's pretty cool. So then I'll show you here. So we've got some top level categories here. So as opposed to just rendering massive lists of products, we've kind of allowed users to kind of break it down a bit further from there and kind of go a bit further to a specific category. I guess if you're looking for something for Christmas, for example, you would have something in mind as to get a bit closer towards that. Let's click on wall, train and street sign. So we've got, so this is the catalog, the category sort of grid view. So this is the lowest level kind of category view that we do. As you can see here, it's pretty cool. Let's click into a product here. So as I mentioned earlier, they're sort of personalizable products. So it's not just a case of adding it to cart. There's a lot of custom options for each one. If you click the personalize me button here, this comes out and you can kind of just add, sort of fine tune what's going on there. Dispatch option, add that to basket. I'll just quickly show you just the checkout, just because obviously there's different ways to go about this. As you can see here, the coupon's applied there, so that's pretty cool. Go through to the checkout now. It's just some upselling stop sort of stuff. Proceed. Again, we've got some more recommended products here, and we've gone for this here. So it's a Luma theme, and then we've just used a third-party module to render a sort of nice one-page checkout that we've used in the past. So this is the Swiss Up fire checkout module, and with the Google Pay, Instant Pay, and that's basically the whole process. So right, so I'll stop sharing that, and I will jump back to my wonderful slides right there. Cool. So, believe the hoop. That was an attempt at a terrible joke regarding the pronunciation of Hoover for people who might struggle with it. So there we go. So a bit of a summary of the project overall, I guess. The developer experience was enjoyable. It was cool to be working with more modern technologies. Obviously, pinned down with Knockout and jQuery for a long time. It's really cool to kind of get working with these things that we've seen working so well for other kind of things. We were able to complete tasks much faster than expected, specifically front-end tasks, I guess. New technologies were easy to pick up, put to use. The finished product was fast and it's got a great user experience. And yeah, hopefully our agency and many more people will be building a lot more stuff with Hoover in the future. So thank you, everyone. That's my Twitter handle there and my email and the website for our agency. There you go. I hope you enjoyed the talk.
I did. Thank you, Ian.
Well, thank you.
Well done. I really like this, applying the coupon code. As a shopper, I'm sometimes confused of how those work, because some of them are applied automatically, some are not, and just to have an easy way for the user to just apply it and really see it. That's good. That's
I think we wanted to just make it as sort of that thing a bit more as streamlined as possible. Kind of, you just click it and we'll do as much as you have to handle the rest.
Oh, great. And we have one question, or rather a request to share the Luma checkout module that you use. I think it was cool. Fire something.
Yeah, so SwissUp is the vendor, and then Fire Checkout is the module. Yeah, cool. Can share that bad boy. Yeah, any other exciting questions?
How did you celebrate when you finished your 2-week sprint in 5 days?
By making another sprint. Getting straight back on it. But yeah, it was pretty cool, wasn't it? It was pretty exciting. But that was obviously, it's sort of, now we know kind of to reshed, like sort of to divvy out the time differently, I guess. We kind of know that certain things will be quicker than others. And, it was our first project amongst us, and it was actually my first project as like the lead developer, I guess. So yeah, some things to learn there, but it's all good.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ian. That was really nice to see. And now we can all check out with love and sparkle, or made with love and sparkle.
So that'll be going live soon. I'd say it was meant to be tomorrow, based on some pressure from the client. But yeah, that'll be going, I think, in about a week or so. Probably we'll do our best to make sure you're aware of when it goes live.
Okay, great. Then we'll see you later.
Cool. See you, everyone.
And then I would like to see Danny and or Edwin join us here on stage, if you're ready. There's Danny. Hello.
All right. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. So Edwin should be joining me with the presentation.
He is.
He's handling the button.
All right. Are you two ready?
Yeah.
I know that you also you got stuck with a pun for this session title.
Yes, thank you. It was a good one.
People, if you have any puns throughout the evening, please share. We have pun appreciating speakers and organizers. Okay, and then
I'll share my screen. Wait a second. This one.
Danny, where exactly is Creme located in the Netherlands?
We're a little bit north of Rotterdam, in a place called Berkel en Rode Reis. which nobody ever heard of.
No.
So keep it to Rotterdam.
All right. Okay, I can see your slides. Then I will say, stage is yours. Have fun.
I'm pretty excited to be part of the show because we have a pretty cool project that we want to share. So first things first, I'm Danny, I'm the CTO of Creme, and today I'm joined by Edwin, our lead front-end developer, to take you more into the depth of this project we did for Isenvi. Well, Creme is a leading e-commerce agency based in the Netherlands. Like I said a minute ago, we create solutions based on the open source version of Magento, as well as some clients who are running Adobe Commerce. We mostly serve clients in the mid-market and have a team of around 15 people consisting of project managers, developers, backend developers, as well as front-end developers. So why did we get started with Magento implementations based on Hyvä? Well, previously we did all our projects based on the Luma theming from Magento, and we didn't get the performance and page speed scores that we would like to have, as well as our clients expected from us or they asked for. So we started experimenting with some headless solutions. We reviewed Deity Falcon, Vue Storefront, as well as PWA Studio. And we noticed with those solutions that it would lead to an increased complexity, as well as longer development cycles. And a lot of third-party modules couldn't be used out of the box or needed substantial work in order to make it work with a headless solution. We also noticed that the skill set that our team needed was different than the current members of the team. If you work with Vue Storefront or PWA Studio, you either need Vue.js or React knowledge. So yeah, there was a high learning curve there. So after the presentation at Reacticon last year, Hyvä looked very promising, and we have a meeting every month between the senior technical leadership here, and we decided to do a little internal project to see and test what Hyvä was like, and if we could use it for our projects. We quickly figured out that met our expectations and decided to do a first real project for our clients. This project was fairly simple, didn't have a lot of business logic in there or third-party modules. Pretty straight out of the box Magento implementation, and we put Hyvä on top of that. So the risk was pretty low for us, and we could use it to get more familiar with the new technologies such as Alpine.js and Tailwind CSS, and see what the team was thinking of it. So today we are showcasing our second project. The first one we did was the one mentioned a little bit earlier. This is the second project, a little bit more complex with some third-party integrations in there. And we are currently having 3 more projects in development, and we expect to start another 3 projects before the end of the year. So yeah, we're fully engaged into the Hyvä-based projects. That's actually the only solution we're currently offering to our clients. And we're also actively pushing this to existing clients because yeah, they keep coming to us with saying we want better performance, better page speed scores. So then we pitched them Hyvä as well. And so far, the reactions have been really good. Then a little bit about this project itself. Isenvi approached Creme to develop their new Magento-based platform. They were using an e-commerce platform called Lightspeed, and they were running into some limitations with the platform and wanted to migrate to Magento in order to grow their business. They are selling cookware and on their own e-commerce platform, as well as several third-party platforms, such as in the Netherlands we have bol.com, which is a major player here, and they're selling their product there as well. And they're currently only selling in the Netherlands. Next steps for them are to expand and start selling in other European countries. So that's on the roadmap. And this is where I hand it off to Edwin to take you more into the technical details of this project.
Yeah, to unmute first. And then can I share my screen again. So yeah, we want to showcase you today is the Isenvi web shop with its features we are proud of. And we also want to show you some development improvements that's speeding up our development here at Creme. So we hope that you can be inspired of that and perhaps learn from it. We did the design in-house for this project. Also our first Hyvä project, we did also the design in-house because at that point we not really sure what we could and we couldn't do with Hyvä, and we wanted to keep it in our own hands so we can make what we need and what we don't need. We could possibly ditch that. But now with 3 other projects we are working on, one project is now designed by an external designer, and that's really working well for us now. Yeah, we also made Vollebrecht aanhangwagens. That one was showed at Reacticon, for example. And a lot of people asked me in the Hyvä chat, which filtering do you use for this project? And that's Smell Elastic Suite. That's really working really well. And there is also a compatibility module in GitLab of Hyvä. So here's the answer. It's Smell Elastic Suite. I want to show you some cool stuff we did. We made the gallery better, the gallery in Hyvä. Normally there is no arrow navigation, and we extended that with arrow navigation. It's not a big thing. It's kind of easy to do, but I want to showcase it to you because it's so much easier than that if we have to change that in, for example, Fotorama in a Luma-based team, or do it with all the jQuery or with external libraries. The cool thing here, and I want to first show it how it works. You see this little arrow navigation. You can scroll to the thumbnails. And the cool thing is that you can really learn from this to check out isenvi.com and check the source code and see how it is done. And that brings me to the add to cart pop-up that we made. We made that with Alpine.js, but we took it from takeaware.nl. That's also a Hyvä shop that's made by Algentos, and we took that as a starting point. We could see their source code, and we could learn from that. And that's really powerful if you are new to Alpine.js and Tailwind and the whole stack. So please check out source code and see how it's working. We extended that at the cart pop-up with cross-sell products that are loaded with GraphQL. So you add it to the cart and you see it's added to the cart and you see cross-sell products there. The cool stuff is here that we don't need a module for that, where in Luma-based teams, normally we would use a module, but now it's so simple and we have just one template to make this work. We also included instant page in isenvi.com. And what instant page, if you don't know it, it preloads a page right before the user clicks on it. So it makes it really fast. The first time to first byte is already done, and the HTML of that page is already loaded before the user is intended to go to that page. So if you watch at the right side of the site, you see the network tab, and then you see the page, the HTML of that page is already loading. So if you hover a link, you see the page already loads, only the HTML, and if you click on it, it loads instantly. Also, we want to show you some stuff about our development process. With our first shop, we worked with all the Tailwind version. We've had ships with a 1.9 version of Tailwind, I think, and that generates CSS file over 15 megabytes. The cool thing about that you have all the classes available there, but during development we saw that it slows down the browser, and using browser sync is almost impossible. Right after Hyvä was released, Tailwind had an update with just-in-time compilation. And what that does is that it compiles the CSS at the moment you save a file. It doesn't matter if this is a config file, PHTML file, or a CSS file. So we updated Tailwind CSS to the latest version, and we enabled JIT mode, the just-in-time compilation. And then we were able to use browser sync again. We also added cache clean from V9 from HTTP, and we also are using the theme fallback for purging. That one is on the docs of Hyvä, and we extended that a little bit with some extra file formats, so we also can purge XML files. So I want to show you how that looks and how fast that works, and it works really well for us. So we changed now the primary default color to a red color, and as you save it, it loads and the CSS is changed. So now we change it back to the default color, and you see it changed right away. Here we changed in the PHP file, the file, the link to secondary. You see the link changed to an orange color, and now we change it back to primary. You see the link color changed back to black. So we don't really need in-browser changes anymore. And if we need to, we can do that in the element style and write CSS, just plain CSS. So the performance of the site are not, they are good, but not the 100 points at this point. Where we have the first site we did had 100 points or almost 100 points at most of the pages. But that one doesn't have really marketing activities. And where you see that here, Google Tag Manager is loaded. That's the biggest bottleneck. So if you would remove that one, you have like in 80, sub 90 points for mobile on the page speed score. But yeah, we need that Google Tag Manager. We need some marketing activities here. The next step here is to improve the images. We want to have some next-gen images like WebP or Aviv. And also we want to change where the fonts are loading from. Now they're coming from the Google CDN. And we want to do that locally. So that we can make like the 90 points for this shop. So don't stare blind on that 100 points, because a real shop with real activities not always have that 100 points. So I hope that was some inspiration for you, and I want to say thanks for watching.
And thanks for showing. That was interesting. I think we know the struggle is real to, well, on the one hand, get the real nice green results on the Lighthouse score, but then there's the real world and the merchant and their tracking and marketing activities and uploading images in, I don't know, couple of megabytes. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, so I have to dig into that Google Tag Manager to perhaps make some changes there and make it less JavaScript there. But yeah, you will never get 100 points there, and that's okay, I think.
Yeah, it's as long as the experience itself is really nice. That's the first really important step, right? It should feel fast for the user. You get lots of applause from the audience. No questions so far. People, what's up? I was impressed with your plans. So you have 2 Hyvä projects done already, 3 in the works, and 3 more until the end of the year you want to start, right?
Yeah, the start. Yeah, not finished.
But still, it's already November, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How big is your team now?
15.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're with 2 people in the management team, 3 project managers, and front-end developers as well as back-end developers are equally split. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Then, of course, you'll be kept busy until the holidays.
Yes, over the holidays as well, luckily.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're selling Hyvä to your existing clients as well, and Konstantin asked how you do that.
Well, obviously, we started with Magento 2. The first projects were like 3 or maybe already 4 years ago. So, well, they already kind of have written off their investment, and they come back to us and asking us for better performance. And that's the time when we pitch Hyvä as a solution which wasn't available previously and is now, and we are seeing pretty impressive results with it. We're showing it to clients and they're impressed as well. And it makes it easier to sell that to existing clients because we already have some experience and we have some showcases that we can show to those clients. So yeah, they're interested. But obviously the latest projects that we did on Luma are not up for a Hyvä migration yet. So that will take some time.
Yeah, one does invest a bit in front-end development, right, as a merchant, and you need to have some return first.
One thing that I was a little bit concerned about when starting, so we are actually selling the Hyvä license. Every third-party module that we use, we are just charging the client one-on-one for it. So I was a bit concerned that clients would have a little bit of backlash about the licensing fee because they were like, yeah, well, I'm already using Magento, so it's coming with a theme out of the box. So why should I add a license for a theming solution there? But in the real world, it's actually pretty easy to sell. We just say we use this package, this module for a better performance and a theming solution, and we can just charge it to the client.
Your clients are mostly in the Netherlands or Europe, or what's your client base like?
Yeah, mostly Netherlands, like 80%. We do have some international clients or Netherlands-based clients selling in the European Union, so in other countries. We do have a couple of clients which are within the EU and US.
Okay. So no further questions came in. Then I would say thank you very much, both of you, for this presentation. And I'm sure you have some more showcases to show us at the next meetup or later.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Then we need more time.
Yeah, maybe just a couple of weeks or months, I don't know. All right, thank you very much. I'll see you later on the Hangout.
Sure.
Then next up would be Anastasiia to join us here on stage. Anastasiia, if you're ready. Oh, yeah, there you are.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Do I actually pronounce your name right? Is it Anastasiia or do you go by Anastasia?
Can be Anastasiia, yes.
Okay, Yeah, I kind of reached out to you after I read on the Hyvä Slack that your team had just finished the Hyvä project. So I was like, hey, let's bring her on our meetup. And now here you
Yes,
are.
you're right. Yes, you're right. We just finished new project, and I'm happy to share with you our experience.
Okay, then I would say, if you're ready, if you want to start screen sharing or not, I would say then the stage is yours.
Thank you.
And you already get some positive feedback on the choice of your sweater's color.
Oh, yes, like magenta.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
do you want to turn your video back on?
yes, looks like something wrong, but I will start. So my name is Nastya, and I plan to share with you our experience work with Hyvä.
Anastasiia?
Chadwicks.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to turn your video back on? Or,
sorry?
Your video doesn't. Oh, so your webcam video seems to be.
And now?
Oh, yeah. Now it's back.
Oh, okay, great.
Right.
Thank you. So, Chadwicks, this is our first project, and so for the beginning, I'm going to tell you why exactly we choose use Hyvä. And as all of you know, Hyvä is a great alternative for Loom because we don't have a huge part of third-party models, dependency, and a lot of JS. We have just 3 base point tile in CSS, Alpine JS, and GraphQL, and we can build our customizable, huge, new, interesting project using all this ability. So we can use on Hyvä checkout that's built on React, or we still can use Luma checkout and provide all our own customization. Also, as for me, like for developer, was interesting that we can quickly start work with Hyvä. This is really very easy because there are a lot of documentation, and it's easy to build your own style, customize tile in CSS, and so on. But usually before we start work with a theme and build a new project, we provide our pattern library and create main style for colors, fonts. If we need some specific breakpoints, we also can do this, and Tailwind config.js really helpful. We can use Tailwind CSS when we're working with page builder, but we need to remember that all classes that we plan to use on page builder, we need to add to our safe list, because without these changes, we can't use classes. And when all main variables ready, we can start work with a project. And now I want to share with you some part of the results that we have with Chadwicks. Our work start with customization menu. We added third level category of this menu. Also, we use default Hyvä functionality for checking customer status, because on our project we have different condition depends of user status. We show some part of our blogs, different information. For all forms in our project, we use HTML5 validation. In login page, we also provide some changes. We change username instead email for login, and also when a user already authorized it, he has a possibility to go to cart page, add product to the cart, and other functionality. When user login, we also provided switcher exclude include VAT. Using Alpine.js and Dispatch, we can synchronize all data. Also, I provide some part of conditions that we can use, that we used, for example, this is just example, that we used in my account. So we removed some extra items and added functionality. We work with Magento B2B, and that's why we catch that some models we need to rewrite. For example, Magento company model, we rewrite all this functionality from default Magento, and now we're using Alpine.js and also proceed with all templates. Such a model like requisition list or product list also was rewriting, but maybe one of the huge part of work was done on product list. We built top level category, have two different scenario, depends of user status. So depends of the scenario, we show different part of markup. If user login or authorization or no. Also, we set all prices using GraphQL request, and for optimization, created one template, one component with request, and use this component with necessary variables on different pages and blogs. And some interesting functionality that was added. This is collect branch and delivery branch functionality. We use this feature for different pages, product list page, PDP, cart page, and also using Alpine.js Dispatch, we can synchronize all data that we have. Mostly we use a simple product, but also created new attribute like higher product, and this type of product has different view on product list and on product page. As we see on product page, also was done huge part of customization. For slider, we use glide slider, and rewriting grid, adding functionality for possibility to add different files, and function requisition list functionality that also can be used when user authorizes it. Interesting challenge was rewriting, as for me, was rewriting the requisition list functionality, because it was my first experience, and this functionality was built by scratch, so I just using default Magento B2B functionality, check how everything works there, and build it using Alpine.js and Tailwind CSS. Just yesterday, have already created pull request to Hyvä, so I still have some issues that need to fix, but I hope that soon all other developers who use B2B Magento version and want to use requisition list can use this model with Hyvä also. For cart changes, interesting was that we moved shipping method to cart page, and using checkout config, we continue work with this. We continue work with this on our checkout. Checkout we use Luma checkout, also with some small customization. And one of example of third-party model that we also use and need to make compatibility was Smile Store Locator that we use for branch locator. Maybe the main interesting part was correct initialization map component and adding all scripts. Also was done huge work with rewriting templates. And main challenges that we faced when we built this project was that as we use B2B version of Magento, a lot of features wasn't implemented on Hyvä, and that's why we need to rewrite them. For me, was not always easy dispatching data to other components. And interesting moment, we can use Tailwind CSS in page builder, but as I mentioned previously, we need to add class to save list. But for example, if client want to provide some changes but his own site, add class for CMS block or a page, he needs to remember what exactly classes we added to save list, so he can't use all classes that we have. That's why maybe in future it will be great if most part of classes can be used on page builder without adding to save list. But despite these challenges that I mentioned, Hyvä provided for us really very great and fast performance and quicker development. And I really looking forward to work with Hyvä again, because it was because we done really a huge job with a lot of customization, but it was interesting and fast. So that's all for my side, and thank you.
And thank you, Anastasiia. That was interesting. Now, oh, you left us already. That was quick. when I just saw that we had a question coming in. Okay, if you're still there, Anastasiia, I would like to see you back on with your video. Oh, there you are.
Yes, sorry.
No worries. There's no double opt-in to leave the stage. It's just you leave and you're gone. Okay. Yeah, interesting features you implemented there. As you mentioned, it's challenging when there's no B2B feature support, but you actually have your client who needs those features. Yeah, some big thank yous to, for the requisition list compatibility module. And now we have one question from Alex, who asked if you have experienced any difficulties with implementing complicated JavaScript components with Alpine.js. For example, with the compatibility module for the Smile store locator.
The main challenges was dispatching a few components, but for Smile store locator, I can say that it was a challenge to correct this script, but most part was working with requisition list more hardest, because this module has a lot of functionality on PDP and in my account, and the most challenges for me was dispatch all these components and all this data. This data need work correct on my account, and user must have possibility add product to the cart with correct price, because we also had different prices, and you can switch this price. So more hardest for me was implemented requisition list, but I know that Smile store locator also take a lot of time.
Okay, yeah, lots of features to put in there. Okay.
Yes, but this is very interesting.
It is absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and I guess that it was the first B2B Hyvä project you had, right?
Yes.
So the next project then definitely will benefit from those experiences now.
I hope. Because we are ready to do a great project.
Yeah. All right. Then thank you very much for your presentation, for showing the details of how you implemented the features. And then I would say we'll see you later on the Hangout.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Bye.
Bye. And now there is only one more showcase we want to see. Ina, I summon you to join me here.
Hello.
Hello.
Summon accepted.
Okay, Ina, I know where you live, I know where you work, as you're my colleague.
That's true.
And you today will show us a redesigned Highlite.
A redesigned Highlite. It's the perfect pun for tonight, actually.
Yeah, I didn't want to be as presumptuous and say it's the highlight of the evening, but yeah, we'll see.
It might be. Who knows? Okay, let's hope that sharing works as intended. One sec. Good thing I practiced this. Not. but you're seeing my screen, I suppose?
Yep, it is working.
Perfect.
Stage is
The
yours.
redesigned highlight. Okay. Yeah, welcome to a redesigned highlight. And the struggle for me to never be able to spell highlight correctly anymore. But first of all, who am I? As you heard, I'm Ina van der Biesen. And small disclaimer already, I'm not a developer, so you might not get so much in-depth info on how we did things, but I'm gonna tell you about that we did things, or how that something happened and how the project went. So a bit maybe a different view on Hyvä. I'm a project manager at Internet, and I started there in January 2020. And that was also the beginning for me with Magento and e-commerce in general, because I was working in a different branch before. And fun fact, I'm 50% Dutch and 50% German, so that's where the last name comes from. But less about me, more about the project. I'm gonna show you the Highlite International project. Highlite is a B2B company, but other than the project that Anastasiia just shared, they're working on with an open source version of Magento, so they don't have the B2B suite. They're manufacturing and dealing with entertainment lighting and equipment, such as the products you can see on the right, just a few examples. The company is family owned, just to give you a sense of how they tick maybe. And they're located in the south of the Netherlands. So Aachen is where Internet is located. It's in the very west, right on the border to the Netherlands. So we just hop over the border and then we can visit our customer. They started working with us at the end of 2019. So as soon as I joined Internet, I took over the project. And initially, well, when we took over, they were already talking about a redesign of the front end. They were already working with Magento 2. But initially, they had some other more urgent problems, such as performance. And back then, Willem, who you might have heard about, was working on the project actually. And he really dove into the Luma front end, what their old front end obviously was based upon, and tried to optimize the performance. And he did make a lot of great adjustments for Highlite, but at some point he just couldn't get any further. And you might have come across some blog posts that he wrote after that project, or that project phase with Highlite actually. Willem's conclusion though, and I'm allowed to quote him on that, is, "I never want to work on Luma again." So I guess this kind of was a first earthquake that ended up into Luma. I don't think that translates well into English. I think it works better in German, but whatever. So with Willem being on the team anyways, and him being not very open to Luma anymore, and the rest of the team not either, to be honest, it was kind of an obvious choice that we did the redesign with Hyvä then. But the timing was a bit different, I guess, than for all the other projects that we had, because we had the kickoff with the client in September 2020. Actually, the project phase took a bit longer, and we went live in April. And that was also due to the fact that we were building the front end on an alpha version of Hyvä. So I think beginning of 2021, I'm not 100% sure, but that's when the actual Hyvä was released. And until then, it was still somewhat in an alpha or beta phase. So one of the reasons it took a bit longer for us to go live until then was simply Hyvä being developed while the project went along, and Willem working on a lot of those things, of course. Another thing that made it a bit bumpy maybe, or just prolonged the process a bit was that the customer is not very design orientated. They don't have an internal design team, and we at Internet don't have one either. So it just took a bit longer to find the right designs for the front end, or we had some more iterations there. And on top, we didn't have a very big project team for this one. So those were just some reasons why it did take a bit longer. Also, one reason, Highlite just has quite a lot of features in the shop, and I'm just gonna point out a few of them. So highlights. Pun of the evening, maybe. I'm throwing in a new candidate. One element is definitely content, and Highlite being able to build a lot of content on their own. So when we took over the shop and the project and the customer, they already had the Magento page builder installed. And actually, during the redesign phase, we also implemented the Magento blog. And a few months ago, the form builder from Magento. So it just gave them a big toolkit to build different pages, landing pages, but also category pages, etc. On top of those Magento modules that we had to make compatible, we built some custom widgets, kind of as an addition, and we added our own slider module that we use for our customers. That's kind of built for Hyvä specifically. One detail maybe for the compatibility of the page builder, our approach was to check with the customer which elements they actually used in the past, because for me, the page builder module from Magento is like a Swiss Army knife. You can do everything with it. And making everything compatible, of course, would have taken way longer. So we just checked with them, what are you actually using? And then made some adjustments along the way so that it really fits their need and not our idea was not to make the whole module compatible. Yeah, so much for the content. Then another aspect on the shop is that the products that Highlite is selling, they present them with a lot of attributes. As you saw earlier, those are technical products. So you just have a lot of technical specs, but also the range of the products is pretty broad. So you do need different specs for a moving light other than the truss, for example. In addition to that, they also have related downloads that are available on the product detail page for those different products. So that was something we done with a module that we made compatible as well. And on top of that, as a B2B shop, they have customer-specific pricing that is also visible when you're logged in as a customer on the product detail page. So quite a lot of special tweaks on the product pages, and so both PDP and category pages. And one other thing about the Highlite project is that their ERP, Navision, is the single source of truth. So basically, all the info that is coming or that is visible in the front end kind of is coming from Navision. We don't always make API calls throughout using the site. But for example, in the customer account, when you're logged in, you can request your price list, which is a direct call to Navision. So it's very intertwined with the ERP. And a rather recent addition we made to the shop is that we built a custom layered navigation based on GraphQL. So the main idea was to enable multiple filters, which I guess is something that every customer kind of needs. But they also wanted some more additions, integrate other attributes, make more sliders available, etc. And we ended up with building our own layered navigation because that was just the best solution for the customer. But so much about talking. I recorded a little demo for you that is going to show all those elements. So we're on the main page here. You can see the slider on top. And those are different widgets. The whole page is built with the page builder by the team themselves. So they're really free to do all of the elements themselves. We had a little block slider that I'm going to go back to later. And as I said, they have, well, those are just a few landing pages that they linked in the navigation. Highlite does a lot of, has a lot of categories that they guide the customer kind of to the right products. One of their brands is Infinity. So here you have a very short selection of products only. There you can see short version of the layered navigation. It's still work in progress because not all the attributes that are supposed to be filterable are prepared by the customer yet. We also have different currencies, so that's something that has to switch as well. And I think now I'm going to go to a product detail page. I am. And there you just have a lot of information, and the goal was to structure it in a way that the user really can work with it. You can also leave an item comment. That's pretty neat for B2B customers as well. If you order for another customer of yours, you can add the references right away. Yeah, product description, etc. The tons of attributes I was mentioning, and a proper way of organizing and sorting them so that the user is able to find the info that they're looking for. And the downloads that I mentioned as well, that's done by, I think it's a MageWorks module. Related product slider, that's rather standard as well. And we did some tweaks on the card as well. So on top of integrating that comment that you can edit here, because that was important for Highlite as well, to make it more convenient for their customers. So you can edit this here. You don't have to go back to the product detail page. And I think, oh yeah, now I'm gonna go back to the blog module that I just mentioned. So this is a little slider that is showing the latest blog posts, and quite important for Highlite as well, because most of the blog posts are showcases of their products. So you're able to link products as well. And there's an overview page. And back to a CMS page. As I said, they're building quite many of those different landing pages as well, combining it with product info. In this case, not with products, but yeah. Since we're having a meeting here, I thought public addressing would be a very fitting category. Okay, so that's the demo. Bottom line for the project. We definitely run into some bumps along the way, or still today, since it's built on an early version of Hyvä. So for example, at the moment, we're integrating configurable products. They do work, but the template is just a bit different in the early stage than it is now. Plus, we're doing a lot of adjustments for the customer. As you saw, there are a lot of attributes, and they kind of want them to change accordingly. That's that. Then, but as I also said earlier, Highlite is not a very design-orientated company. They do have an internal team, but that's mostly specialized in print. So they don't really have web designers, and Internet, we don't have design colleagues either. So using Hyvä as a basis was actually pretty good, because it's a very decent looking theme to start with. And then we just went with a lot of iterations. So we had a general sense, or they gave us a general briefing of like colors, etc., or that they wanted it to be a very clean and bright page or shop. And then we kind of had a lot of iterations with the customer, a lot of ping pong, and did a few mock-ups, and then went that way, or took a different direction. So having Hyvä as a basis there was pretty neat. And another takeaway or another interesting thing maybe about the process was that, as you might know, Hyvä kind of was a success, and Willem kind of had to spend more and more time on Hyvä itself. So at some point, he gave over his tasks for the Highlite redesign to other developers. And for me as a project manager, not a lot of info was lost, or not a lot of. It still went on pretty smoothly, so it was not all in Willem's head, but other developers that were not familiar with Hyvä yet had, at least from my point of view, a very easy time adjusting and finding their way into the new framework. So I guess that's it. Do you have any questions?
I haven't seen any questions so far. People, put in your questions. Otherwise, Ina, I'm going to grill you. Oh, can we see the raccoon again, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I also have a yeah, I agree. It's a very cute one. I have an alternative one as well because I couldn't choose.
There are never enough raccoons, so. Okay, that's A.
That's A. That's B.
Oh.
A or B. I wasn't. I forgot. I forgot to decide before sharing the slides, so now I have two.
Hang on.
Are you creating a new poll now?
Yes.
Wonderful.
That's what I'm doing. Giving people some time to.
I have a very cat-friendly voice, says Lucas. I like cats. Cats like me as well. So maybe it was trying to communicate with me.
Okay, Dimitri thinks it's the same raccoon in two different situations.
I'm not 100% sure. They look related.
So we can neither confirm nor deny.
Exactly, yeah.
Ina, are you still in any projects who don't have a Hyvä frontend?
Yes, actually, we recently took over a customer that switched from another agency. And since that agency, as far as I know, is not working with Hyvä, they have a Luma-based theme.
Mm-hmm. And when is that going to change then?
Yeah, that's a good question. We still have to get some other features on the way, but I can imagine as soon as they actually want to freshen up their front end or really do a redesign, that's definitely going to be Hyvä. I cannot imagine doing anything else than that.
Yeah, that's I think that's a sentiment that quite a lot of people can agree with here, that once you've tried Hyvä, you don't want to have a different front end again.
Like Willem said, I never want to work on Luma again.
No. Okay. People, do you have any questions? By the way, the Hyvä poll is the Hyvä poll. I'm saying sorry. The raccoon poll is really not decided yet. It's 50-50.
Okay.
Oh, Scott has a question, but I think that's a general Hyvä question. Are configurable products supported in Hyvä 1? And Willem is already on it. Yes, they are. All product types are supported. Yeah, I guess otherwise it's really difficult. Was it with Highlite that all product types were already supported when you started, or?
Not in the beginning, but since until now, Highlite's catalog just consists of simple products, that wasn't really an issue. Yeah, as Willem said, that's like very, very alpha. We had one other project that basically was the first one, and Highlite started shortly afterwards. So very early one, and didn't need configs. So, but it was no issue adding those templates to the theme that Highlite's using.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ina, for
having
presenting this highlight.
Bye.
Okay. And I missed one question from Benoit, who asked about the most differences between the Hyvä project and the old ones.
Which old ones? I'm not sure I'm getting the question right.
Probably based on Magento. Hang on. What was the most differences between the Hyvä project and old ones based on
Luma, I guess.
Luma, or just compare it to anything that comes up to mind. Oh, based on Luma, yes.
Well, I might not be the perfect person to answer this, because when I started in 2020, actually I started with Vue Storefront projects. So I can compare it to Vue Storefront, and I definitely like Hyvä more. So with Vue Storefront, it was incredibly frustrating, at least for me, and I think also for the rest of the team. And I did not work with a lot of projects on Luma. So,
well, then let's give this question to the audience, and everyone else is invited to share their thoughts either in the chat or later on in the Hangout, discuss it there. And then, Ina, you're officially allowed to leave the stage now. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And with that, let's come to the official closing of today. I just need to get myself organized. All right. So first of all, big thank you to our speakers for providing their lessons learned, for showcasing their work here for us to see. And I know tech audiences sometimes really know how to pick something apart, and so I much appreciate those who step on the stage here and present what they worked on. Yeah, I hope we all benefit from that. Those of us who've already had some Hyvä experiences, those of us who are tempted to use it in the next upcoming project. And then I just want to make sure that you are all aware of, soonish upcoming events. If you want to have your chance of being a speaker at the next Hyvä Meetup, please make sure to reach out to our team here at Internet. So ideally, you would send an email to events@internet.de, where Andreas or myself would read those. We already have bus kind of planned for the next meetup as well. And the date then will follow soon, might probably be now with more or less already the holidays coming up, then meetup in 2022. And if you have any upcoming talks around a Hyvä project at any of the conferences, please also let the community know so we can either cheer you on during the presentation or share it with the world as well. Because so far I checked with, I think it was Meet Magento Singapore that's happening in November, and they don't have a Hyvä talk as far as I know. If I'm mistaken, please correct me here. And then we want to make sure that you get all of our retreats, etc. And then Please also check out under events the poll that we set up, where you can decide on or give us some feedback on what you would like to see as a focus for the next Hyvä Meetup edition. If that's going to be extensions, more case studies, checkout options, the new Hyvä features that were announced at ReactiCon, or anything else that comes up to mind, please send that our way. And then, yeah, next up, if you like to keep in touch, please make sure to check out our Twitter. I think it's linked here on the right side of Hopin as well. You'll find us on LinkedIn. And those are the channels where we mostly communicate around the Hyvä Meetup. Of course, also in some of those Slacks, especially the Hyvä Slack. And then there's the old school email to reach out to us. And then I would just really like to thank everyone here for joining us. And well, next up would then be kind of the transition to the Hangout sessions, and just for you to get to talking.